Welcome into this week's episode of Your Drone Questions answered, brought to you by Drone Launch Academy. I'm your host, Chris Breedlove. Today's question's kind of timely, fun, and interesting, and a little bit longer than most, but it's in the midst of all this just industry, drone industry uncertainty. What solace, what hope, what promising trends on the horizon, and that we can hang our hats on it and be encouraged as drone practitioners. So we're going to tackle that from an OEM's perspective or a manufacturer's perspective, specifically Wingtra's perspective. So to do this, I'm really excited to welcome Benton Szejk from Wingtra to the show. Benton, man, thanks for joining the show.
Glad to be here.
So Ben, before we kind of get into this and get your insights and your thoughts on a lot of hot button things, please, if you would, tell our listeners a little about your background and kind of how you got to where you're at with Wingtra today.
Yeah, so I guess been working for Wingtra for 2.5 years now. Started in February of 2023. Started my career within Sunbelt Rentals, working the heavy equipment industry. So working on a lot of job sites, a lot of heavy construction and things like that. But actually flew my first drone on the Edisto River, trying to find redfish and things like that. Got my first little drone for some things in surfing and things like that. And my family actually comes from the maritime industry. So got into kind of a little bit of the inspection world, started a little small LLC doing some stevedore cranes, ship inspections and things like that for my dad. Had some former coworkers that worked at Wingtra, kind of took a look at my background and they recommended me for the company, and been here 2.5 years, met a lot of awesome people in the drone industry. It's been a whirlwind, but it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. So man, I'm gonna hit you with a few just, I don't know, topics, questions, and just share your insights, man, and your perspective as an OEM, as a manufacturer. What the heck is going on, man, with the blue list, green list? Do both matter? Does neither matter? Like, what is going on in your opinion with that?
Yeah, it's been confusing. Where we are now is an awesome place. I think if you look at the blue list now, most of the people that I think deserve to be there are on that list. And really what it's about is giving people a set of tools that they can use. And I think remote sensing as a whole is kind of reminiscent of golf clubs. There's different tools for different parts of the course and things you're trying to do. Where we are now is a lot better than where we were this winter. The DIU, my understanding is, try to do a lot of consolidation, try to focus on the warfighter, where the encryption for those blue drones and those NDA certified drones were most important and had most of a pressing need, but it left a lot of confusion for everyone in the commercial space. You may not need an encryption on your drone, but you may need a blue certified drone on the blue list for certain job sites, for certain contracts, just because it is the highest level of certification that says, hey, I can use this drone on this project. I can use it on my next project. I'm good. I've got a tool I can use on everything I need to do. The whole time while we were bumped off the blue list momentarily through the DIU's mix up this winter, we're had Wingtras flying on Air Force bases, Marine Corps bases, Navy bases, and contractors doing that as well. So the whole time we've got people like the Civil Air Patrol going to bat for us and saying, hey, like you're almost devaluing the blue list by removing Wingtra for it because they're already on base in a multitude of sites. So we really appreciate AUVSI in the meantime, kind of seeing this ahead of time and creating the green list, because they really stepped up as a certification where NDAA is traditionally self-certifying. They really stepped up and said, hey, we're going to fill the gap. We're going to go out and put certifications. We'd go to a lot of the events. We know these OEMs. We can take a look at this technology and say, hey, this would be something safe to use and make an investment in moving forward. So we're proud to say with both the Gen 2 and the Wingtra Ray are on the green and the blue list. I think where the state of things are, we don't see that changing for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. I think another big category of uncertainty, a lot of drone operators is just sourcing product and spare parts, batteries, that whole thing. And I guess we can just use the T word tariff. So I guess what is your perspective, whether this is you personally or Wingtra or whatever, just on some of the tariff uncertainty and supply chain, just yeah, disruptions. Where do you see that going today and hopefully to a more stable place in the latter parts of 2025 and beyond?
I think I speak for many in the drone industry that many of the challenges we are up against from the regulatory standpoint isn't a technical one. It's a more of our people in our government house versus other people in another government house, and who knows how that will shake out exactly. It seems a lot of deals are getting done right now. We don't expect this to be a long process. We haven't really like changed anything major. We've offered a flat rate as things change. we're really trying to optimize and communicate with customs and everybody as much as possible. We've taken people off a roll in Zurich and placed them in DC for the better part of this year, doing just that. So we have an open line of communication. So we know what's happening. We know what to expect. And we have tons of stock in the United States. So all of that is certain. We made a huge push when the initial announcement came out to get stock into the United States so we could have a consistent set of drones to go to market with. It's your guess is kind of as good as mine. We're paying attention to the news as best we can, and we've got a straight line in Northern Virginia for whenever anything changes. So
That makes sense. And I feel like for everybody in this sector, whether they're flying Wingtra or any other brand, I think it's all anybody wants, right? There's been some recent executive orders, I guess now maybe a couple months ago or so, as we're recording this kind of later summer 2025. I got to follow up, but what is your top level, just anything either that's damning or negative or really encouraging, I guess, about what you think has been laid out from the administration as far as, yeah, UAS policy moving forward?
I really liked the main executive order that was two-pronged, that really like unleashed American drone dominance from an aiding and incenting manufacturing. Just from a citizen, I think that's having worked in this industry for 2.5 years. I think that's needed, and I think there's tons of people that are grasping to take those resources and that encouragement. Where in the past, FAA member has made a joke to me that if the Wright brothers were there, or if they were there on Kitty Hawk when the Wright brothers took off, we would have never let them took off. They wouldn't have had the right paperwork. So it's encouraging to me that that's the tone. The general tone is to promote the industry and unleash it. Specifically regarding like Part 108 and things like that, like these drone platforms are coming a long way. And I think I can speak for myself and many of our customers. We've been confident flying a Wingtra in many different areas and just haven't really had the ability to. And regarding the lack of clarity around what would get a waiver approved, it's been hard in the past for us to make the investment into technologies and features that may not even get the waivers approved because they're sitting on ice in an office somewhere for 8 to 12 months. And I really was encouraged. We talked already about the DIU's bandwidth. Just to certify drones and manufacturers takes a long time to actually put these technologies through their paces and the software and everything. So using AI and whatever we can to self-certify these waivers and move them through quicker allows other people to make a better investment in our drone, give them a better quote and estimation to their customers that are receiving the deliverables or the data. And generally just the entire industry can swim in the same direction with the same understanding. And I think that is overall tone is that they're unleashing us and giving us more capability where we felt that was kind of the opposite in the past.
Yeah, no doubt. What about from a capability perspective, when you mention like, well, just BVLOS, right? From that standpoint, what is it about getting ready, like technically, that as far as features on an airframe to make either formerly BVLOS waivers more achievable or now routine Part 108 operations that we know is not in place like today, but is coming? What are those sorts of features? And what are those like bullet point highlights of, hey, if my airframe has A, B, and C, theoretically, maybe more than theoretically, with confidence, I can expect to maximize that tech for BVLOS operations. What would you say to that?
It's basically the main feature set we expanded into the Wingtra Ray versus the Gen 2. The biggest things you need are obstacle avoidance. You need command and control, and you need the way the parachute on the Wingtra Ray is designed. It has its own power source. It has its own GPS. And if the worst case scenario were to happen, if the batteries were to completely lose voltage, the drone were to hit a bird and become damaged in any major way, instead of becoming a terminal velocity weapon coming at the ground, it's going to nestle softly into the kindergarten's playground. That's the biggest thing. The LTE that we've added to the drone, we've always had 2.4 gigahertz telemetry, but adding the LTE, that gives you much farther beyond 10 kilometers, and especially if you have any obstacles in the way. And if you do have any obstacles that you can't see or that aren't showing up in your planning process, the drone's going to immediately see those via radar in the nose cone, revert and return to home and make you evaluate your flight. So Wingtra always tries to make things really easy. We don't want anybody trying to become maverick in a tight situation. The drone's just going to come immediately, land right back in your lap basically and say, hey, let's try something different, you know?
Yeah. How's it specifically working on the Ray? Let's just say, to give you an example, I plan my mission. Oops, Didn't realize that one smokestack was that much taller on this, manufacturing facility I'm gonna map. Used to be, it was kind of a dicey situation if you didn't catch it before but now it sounds like it's a lot better. What do you say?
Yeah, it's generally, I mean, you've got 3D flight planning. You've got any major roofs and building roofs. You can pull those out in flight planning, so you can really see exactly where the drone's going to go. The drone is flying 40% faster, but we're constantly upgrading the payloads. Like the Gen 2 started with a 24 megapixel payload, and virtually all of ours are 61 megapixels at this point. So by flying higher, you're really avoiding most obstacles just by nature of that's where the drone's optimized to be. Anything like a lighthouse or a cell tower, you're still going to have to take a look for. But within Wingtra Cloud or Wingtra Cloud Essential, you can just leave comments and say, if it's your most junior pilot that's never even flown a drone before, like the idea is he could pick up a Wingtra, you could call him over the phone, you could even plan the flight for them, and they can hit play, but just read the comments and look out for cell towers. And virtually they should see exactly where the drone's going to go. And if they don't, the obstacle avoidance is going to come in behind and make the drone once again land right back in front of him. And he's going to have a big error messaging, letting him know what happened. So
That's really cool and encouraging. Something you brought up, Benton, would be Wingtra Cloud. I think there's a lot of confusion. I had this back in the day as a dealer. Maybe there still is. What if I can't operate online due to policy of my employer, my organization? Can I operate a modern Wingtra or Wingtra Ray totally offline? And then part B is, what about Wingtra Cloud? Is that mandatory? What if I want to process in my own software already has? What are my options?
yeah, so Wingtra has the Apple kind of walled garden, as it were, but that really ends right after you get your geotag JPEGs. We're software agnostic. You can take those images and post process them in anywhere that'll take them. Frankly, there's probably softwares that I don't even know about that are available to process that imagery. You can add every widget along the way for the whole end-to-end workflow. You can plan, capture, and process your imagery within Wingtra. And this is really great for people who don't have a robust workflow. Maybe they don't have a super powerful computer at the home office and a multitude of softwares that they're using to process with. They just want to rely on the same manufacturer that makes the camera, that makes the drone, that makes the software. So that if anything goes wrong, they've just got to point at the orange company and get something figured out. It's really about being a system that's designed to work together, but you can get off on any stop of those widgets and use whatever you need. I think we've got NDAs with most major manufacturers, most software companies that are heavily used out there and are trying to constantly communicate. I just saw Propeller announce that the MAP 61 payload is able to be processed on there as well, which is a good example. So could do everything from putting down your own receivers for like I've got a customer in Wilmington, North Carolina, didn't even know what a base station was, and they're collecting centimeter level accuracy and handing in an SD card with amazing data. And that's the kind of customer the full end-to-end workflow is really designed for.
Yeah. And something else you said, that your example, the customer who didn't know what a base station was. So what's the situation with Wingshire ground kits, both in general, and then also what if someone already has, I'm wearing my Trimble hat today, but if they have other receivers, other investments, other brands that are not inlet based, can they still benefit from that efficient workflow, or does it have to all be inlet?
Most of the problems that come with data are base station problems. And that's really why the Wingtra ground was created. The modern GNSS receiver wasn't designed with drones in mind at all. It just wasn't. But it's really good at producing a static Rhinex file, which is how we're able to process our imagery, geotag our imagery, and make it relevant to our end users. And we saw time and time again that anything that was coming back specifically with new users was an issue with the base station. So now with Wingtra ground, you really could not know what you're doing at all as long as you follow the windows that pop up. It's going to say you turn the base station on, you put it on the ground, you collect your base, and then you take your rover and you mark in your GCPs. It really tells you exactly what to do. It even tells you like, hey, make sure your GCPs are on flat ground, not on high grass and things like that. So it really is supposed to be the end-to-end workflow for your 22-year-old surveyor associate to step in, take this technology, and collect really, really high survey grade data. I don't think I've said it yet, but it's interesting working with the Swiss. One of our challenges is Americans, we want to be everybody's everything and go do everything, but they've been really, really smart. All we do is surveying and mapping. That's all we focus on. We don't take any live feed video. We don't do any marketing production. We don't do any combative nature or anything like that. All of our features and the whole software set is designed on collecting civil engineering, environmental monitoring, and asset management style data collection to make better decisions with those assets. So that's really where the whole workflow comes from.
Yeah. And I guess not to draw you in to reverse yourself on that, but as a mapping focused drone manufacturer, it doesn't have to be strictly speaking traditional photogrammetry. I think there's at least a little fun twist that maybe you could shed some light on that still falls in that umbrella of aerial insights, but it's not maybe quintessential photogrammetry. Would you like to lighten our listeners about what that might entail?
Yeah, so we do have lidar. Our lidar is really strong at pulling a topo in vegetated areas for really large sites. Like if you're going into site plan for a new construction, something like that, that's really where it's shown its benefit. And then really in my territory, so I cover South Carolina to Maine. One payload, the Mica Sense Red Edge P, our multispectral payload, has been really prolific in my territory. Think of almost every major university is either asked about it or purchased one, and they're doing real world work with it. Invasive species mapping, basically from the Carolinas to New England, is huge. And there's massive projects where people are creating AI models to protect the environment. But now we're seeing tons of, hey, can we trial this? Hey, can we rent this from construction and engineering firms? Just saying, hey, we've already got this drone for a small upgrade. We can offer this whole comprehensive environmental information. And if you don't know, multispectral basically provides the chlorophyll content and allows you to make informed decisions. I will say that because there's not as much money behind it as in the construction technology industry, there aren't as many great tools for pulling the analytics, and many people still need an agronomist or somebody who really knows what to do with the data. But we're finding more and more that people are picking this up. And even from the photogrammetry side, AI is allowing for environmental decisions to be made just off the pixel matching in a crazy way as well. So I know it's
Cool.
photogrammetry as well, but they kind of go hand in hand at the moment.
100%. What about if you want to go there one step further? Isn't there some AI post processing that you all have enabled, I guess, through Wingtra Cloud for more of the public safety sector that really has nothing to do with I need a rectified orthomosaic, but more not real time, but very quick turnaround intelligent? What about that?
Yeah, so we do have a SAR AI tool that is available in Wingtra Cloud. If you're a public safety entity, if you're interested, give us a shout. Basically, we're not producing an ortho mosaic. We're training the data on whatever you need. So right now we have it based and trained on missing people. We had a project with the National Park Service and showed them this first. So that's what we trained the data on. But really, we have a really good sensor and we have a cloud platform, so you can train this data on red Mini Coopers or yellow punch buggies, whatever you're looking for. If it's just counting a specific type of crop, counting rolls of steel at a steel mill, something like that, it's not producing an ortho. It's going photo by photo and providing an 80 to 20% level of confidence on whether or not that's one of the items. So say you're doing a car count at a port facility. Instead of manually counting car by car by car, in 27 minutes post the flight may take 15, 20 minutes and 27 minutes of processing. You have a 95 to 96% accurate count of whatever asset you're looking. I think there's with accuracy and with a 61 megapixel camera, I could show you one of these images and give you a magnifying glass, and you're never finding one of these missing people. You may find the red Mini Cooper, but you're going to take much longer to count all of them as well. It's pretty interesting, and I'd love to hear more people reach out to us about it, because the ones that have seen it have been like, we don't have anything else like this. And it's an opportunity for us to go to the Swiss and be like, hey, here's another opportunity for us to help where previously used technology may be taken away. We can fill the gap for some of these people that are looking for tools to use in a new UAS world in 2025. So it's been awesome, and give us a shout about it.
Yeah. Anything else, man? I guess just kind of a closing remark, I suppose, about where you think the drone industry is headed and what all we can just as pilots, as practitioners, as enthusiasts, whatever our interest is, where we can draw further excitement and hope, I guess, for just an exciting future with UAS in the United States.
It's really exciting for us because, like, 2 years ago in Zurich, I put my hand on this drone we released just a few weeks ago. And it's pretty crazy to see these executive orders around BVLOS and just opening things up for people in a time when they need them on the opposite side where things are being taken away. We're really just trying to be a grown up, reliable platform. I think people get caught up in the fixed wing side of it. We've been flying this flight pattern since 2012 when it was produced in a master's project. We've been active in the United States flying this way since 2018. And this is our third drone doing this way. So anybody that's flown Wingtra for a long time is kind of, I think, overly confident with it. And all you have to do is stand there with the tablet and look out for other aircrafts. It's instead of looking down and flying, you're actually just looking out for other aircrafts. But it's really, really interesting seeing people say, oh, I don't need a fixed wing. And I'm like, well, what if it's thunderstorming on a Tuesday? Your flight is on a Wednesday and you've got 20 minutes to capture 30 acres. There's not a lot of other drones that are going to be able to do that reliably, confidently, that would even make you leave your hotel or your office or whatever to go capture that mission. And that's actually an anecdote from an event we did in Syracuse, New York, not too long ago. We had 3 days of bad weather. I was leaving on my flight and we were able to produce the data within a 20-minute flight of looking at the radar basically on weather underground. It's a drone made for surveyors. It's a drone made for mappers. And that's really, really what we're focused on.
Yeah, that's awesome. Appreciate all that, Ben. With the Ray being just announced, I guess it's been a few weeks, maybe a month or so back, whatever it is. What if folks want to see it in action? There's a road show, if I'm not mistaken, ongoing as we speak, but where can folks find out more information and sign up to come see the Ray in action?
Reach out to all of the local providers. We've got a list of resellers on our website, but all of them are doing events. Like we're hosting events throughout the Carolinas and New England, all throughout the United States. It's like Midwest. Reach out to your local drone provider that carries Wingtra, and I guarantee you they're probably putting on a Wingtra event. If not, you can just go directly to our website and we'll provide you a link to the closest event. We just had our first one last week that I put on, and really good turnout. I already got some people that fly in Gen 2 that want to use the Ray, and it's pretty interesting. Once you see the new drone, you're like, okay, we're in the world of 2025. We've got new technology. It looks pretty slick, I have to say.
Yeah. If folks want to reach out to you directly, should they just go to the Wingtra website? I don't know if you want to shout out your email or LinkedIn or anything else, but if so, do so right now.
Yeah, you could give me a shout on LinkedIn or just go directly to the Wingtra website. That'll help you out because if you're reaching out from Wyoming, I'm probably not the right guy to talk about. Sit here in Charleston, South Carolina. So the website will kind of direct you to the right place to go. Reach out to me on LinkedIn if you have any trouble, or reach out to Chris, I guess, too. I'll burden him with that. We're super friendly. We love to hear from our customers. It's everything we could do. And for any of my current customers, send us your logs if anything happens. The most valuable thing a drone company can get is the logs from an anomalistic flight. Really helps us improve kind of the SpaceX model. If something went wrong and we never know about it, we can't make the drone better. So send us your logs, keep flying Wingtra, and yeah, give us a shout.
That's awesome, Benton. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Really fun discussion this week. And to our listeners, as always, you have a question you want to tackle on this show, please visit ydqa.io or shoot me an email at chris@drawnsacademy.com. Until next time, have a great week.